Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. For any Democrats that happen to have found this video, I'd say give me at least the first 4 minutes. Some pretty profound information's coming out about your side that I think is going to make it challenging to maintain your allegiance to this side of the fence you happen to be. We'll see how that plays out, but I have an awesome show for everybody right now. This is incredible. Got some good stuff. This right here, like the first minute 30 or so of this Meet the Press, tells it all to us. The ratings are out. People are admitting it in MSNBC. Now, granted, it's their Sunday show and there's like 14 people watching it, but it's significant that they're getting through this. Check it out.
Happy Halloween. We have a brand new NBC News poll out this morning that's filled with some scary news for the Democrats. The overarching message: Americans have lost their confidence in President Biden and their optimism for the country. At least they have right now. Just 22% of adults say we're headed in the right direction. A shocking 71% say we're on the wrong track, and that includes a near majority of Democrats who are saying that. President Biden's approval rating stands at a dismal 42% versus 54% who disapprove. Believe it or not, just 2 months ago, Mr. Biden was in positive territory, 49% approving, 48% disapproving. So what's pulling down the president's numbers? Well, look at this set of numbers. Just 37% say he has the ability right now to handle a crisis versus nearly a majority who say he does not. 37% also say he's competent and effective as president. 50% disagree with that description. What's more, Republicans, believe it or not, have double-digit leads in dealing with border security, inflation, crime, national security, the economy, and shockingly, on getting things done. Democrats hold generally smaller double-digit leads, and that's really it right now. It's not clear yet whether any deal struck by Democrats on the social spending and infrastructure bills will nudge Mr. Biden's numbers back into positive territory, or whether the damage to his reputation is more of a scar than a bruise. But this much is clear. About the only good news for Mr. Biden and the Democrats in this poll is that the midterm elections aren't for another year.
I wouldn't hold that same level of optimism. You see, he's been falling like a rock for 7 months. I would say, how much further can he manage to get? How much more damage can possibly happen if we continue on present course? Something to consider. Also, Bill Maher, someone who's not shy about sharing his opinions. Short little bit here. Check it out.
I'm not sure what the latest Dr. Fauci thing was on Halloween. He's changes his mind a lot, but I think it was go and do it. I hope so, because it certainly has been my position since the beginning of this. Just resume living.
Right? I mean, it's just calling a spade, looking in the mirror and acknowledging what's going on in our own lives, our own realities. Pretty powerful. Huge rumor running around right now that the Vatican, and this is being spread in a few ways. There's so many puns that pop into my head because of this story. I've already said one. But the rumor is that the reason Biden didn't show up in this particular photo op was because he soiled himself. Now, again, not trying to necessarily make fun of an incontinent. I think that's the correct term. Maybe it's not when it's... Anyway. You know, I feel bad for the dude. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, this is representing our nation, our country, which obviously I think a majority, as we've come to find, don't necessarily believe in him. As what's-his-face on NBC said, hey, at least they got another year to go, right? I mean, how much worse can it get? We'll probably find out. He's now soiled himself in front of the Pope. And by the way, he wears all white. Can you imagine his fear of anything of that color? Oh, that and blood, I would assume, and grass stains probably, right? You know he doesn't play rugby in that friggin' Pope outfit, right? Come on. You can't wash that stuff out. I know. It's the truth. Yeah, so the word around Rome, the word around Rome is that Biden's meeting with the Pope was unusually long because Biden had a bit of a bathroom accident at the Vatican, and it had to be addressed prior to him leaving. I wonder if they had handy wipes. I know we joke often about this, but this is the actual rumor going around Rome right now. It's also going around Switzerland, apparently, too. So perhaps the Swiss Guard is leaking. They said he soiled his pants. I'm sorry. It's the way I don't have to take you along with me, per se. Okay, yes, I'm guilty of that. So, yeah, people kind of making fun of our, quote, president or whatever. So, oddly, the very next day, there's supposed to be another picture of the G20 leaders, though my favorite right now is the one over here where literally, and my guess is, by the way, throwing it out there, total speculation at this moment, is that I think because of decisions that were made, executive orders that were filed, the PEDs and all the legality mumbo jumbo that presidents do, I'm almost sure his hands are severely tied when it comes to this whole G20 climate thing. So I think he's there like to be symbolically there in image, but I don't think our money is. I don't know. Total hunch. Because it is funny, and he's also visibly separated. Visibly, like there is, someone was like, there's 10 feet between them. No, there's not 10 feet. It's inches, but still, it's visibly separated from everybody else. And he's just standing there like such a weirdo. Surprised he's not doing that little fist clenchy thing. Anyway, so, Joe Biden, back to him. Missing on this particular photo op. Now, who wants to guess it was because he was embarrassed? Or maybe still had that. I mean, they make Imodium and stuff, right? Like, you can pop a pill and be good to go, man. You can go hang out for a couple hours. So, yeah, and I don't know what they're, hey, look, Joe's up there with his underwear. I mean, I don't know what they're, watch out, I don't know. But, yeah, not good. Disappeared. Embarrassed, I guess. That's the best I got. So, Sun News, let's cover it because we got a lot going on and don't want to miss out on this. So, let's talk. It's not about
but it is impacting here now in the early to midday hours Universal Time. We've got a touch of preconditioning to the late impact, and we'll break all that down starting at spaceweathernews.com. We find the last day on the sun was mostly quiet. Did get some pops. A couple even looked like they solar wind signatures only. So let's come to the solar wind in geospace and the geomagnetic conditions. Bottom right, all you see is one yellow bar, and that is due to a phi angle shift, the sector boundary, interaction with the heliospheric current sheet. It was a significant interaction that caused the geomagnetic unrest here before that spike on the far right of the solar wind charts. Kind of hard to see, but that there is the CME impact. It struck hours later than expected, and so take my previous reassurance to you that this was not going to be as to that forecast. With the whack indeed striking this morning, I would still expect geomagnetic storms, enduring unrest at the very least, but still a shade below what would have been expected if it had struck yesterday. KP5 or 6, a G1 or G2 storm, is now the best forecast rather than the G3, KP7 that had been expected before. It's worth noting that while the southern active region that produced the CME is fading and turning out of view, the northern group is intact and approaching center disk with a trailer coming in behind it just over the limb this morning. Let's start the articles with one on mortality factors in northern Portugal over a considerable amount of time.
So, yeah. It hit. I mean, right? So the end of the world didn't happen. We didn't lose our power grid. It sometimes happens. It can happen in some locations. And the aurora borealis is going to be very visible, most likely. It's certainly where it's nighttime, now. And again, this thing was recorded a few hours ago. So most likely still visible. But that's kind of what we're able to figure out, right? A lot of people can say all sorts of different things. Fact of the matter is, we see this information happen on this available public information, and within a certain time frame, usually within hours, like he said, it got here late, but we didn't know the exact velocity. So again, once it hits us, we see it. We see some of the information they provide us publicly as well around that, and then we see the aurora borealis happen at that time. So there's a definite correlation that this is all legit and real, and obviously the worse the storms are, the worse the coronal mass ejection, the bigger the mess that we put together over time. First and foremost, there are a couple things here that I got to call out. First off, Fauci, do you know where the top of your ears have been? Seriously, you're putting that in your mouth? Ugh. Gross, right? This is a sophisticated look. Hey, check me out as I Put my glasses in. What if I had some straw maybe in my mouth? I could look like a farmer. Anyway, what I also thought was very intriguing about this gentleman, this picture, and this picture. They all jumped out at me. Why, Dan? Because his super white fingernails. Look at these fingernails. I could zoom in maybe a little. No, it's not going to work for me that way. Bite me, Dan, is what it's saying. Look at these white fingernails. It's super nice white, always showing off his beautiful white and reasonably white teeth. I don't know. Fauci's a weirdo. That being said, why am I bringing all this up? Well, there's a poll out. Majority of Americans now say psychopath and serial liar Tony Fauci should resign. Not just people like Rand Paul. We know that. There's probably a great quote there, but we're not going there. Dr. Fauci's responsible for funding ghoulish research, right? We've been just berating him on that, right? Because he wanted to go with the pharmacy companies. Pfizer's made $8+ billion. God knows what that number is now. I'm sure they don't legally have to report it for some weird reason. So this is not going well for him. And then this happened. The majority of voters said President Biden's chief medical advisor, Anthony Fauci, should resign, a new Hill-Harris-X poll finds. The survey, which was conducted from October 26th and 27th, found that 52% of registered voters felt that Fauci should resign. 52%. That's huge. Huge. Again, we always say when it's against the narrative, the numbers probably go the opposite direction. Odd with that MSNBC poll, by the way. Did you see how bad those numbers were? And that was on MSNBC. Again, I still hold true to my typical belief that if it goes against the narrative, it's probably worse. And it probably even was worse than what they showed us on MSNBC. But right now, the head dude, the guy that's been wrong for 2 years, don't get me started about stillbirths. I'll probably drop another F word. Can't have that right now. So, again, this is a problem for the deep state. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They needed this guy. And if somebody else gets in there, obviously that somebody else is not going to play this same fiddle. Is he? No. They are losing on multiple fronts. Again, not a great time to be on the Democratic side of the argument. It's just not.